Hi, in this video, I will be installing a Centrify agent on a Mac machine as part of our evaluation demo here. I have an El Capitan 10.11 that I'll be installing our latest agent on. And here I'm assuming you've already set up the back end, you've already set up the, have an OU and Active Directory where all the Centrify data is, and you've already gone to the Centrify console and set up the back end, the zones and the policies specifically for the Mac zone and a test user so everything's ready to go. We'll be verifying some information, but if you need to set that up, please refer to the other video on setting up the backend. So what we're doing in this video is talking about how, again, verifying what the backend is set up, what the requirements are, your test users are all ready to go. Talking a little bit about the Centrify group policies and how we can use them to set up certain policies and things like that for the Mac. You want to make sure you download the Centrify agent for your Mac, have that ready to go. You can either download it individually or there is an all agents zip file that has all the different flavors of the Unix plus the Mac. You want to prepare the Mac machine. Most of the time, 90% of the time, your Macs are DHCP, so they're dynamic IP addresses. If it is a static IP, you want to modify that Mac's network to use Active Directory's DNS, or at least to use a DNS that plays friendly with Active Directory's DNS. And also, you want to add its IP address into Active Directory's DNS. Because you're joining a machine to AD, it needs to know about it. And also verify that the subnet is in Active Directory sites and services. Our agent acts like a Windows machine, and subsequently it uses sites and services to find its closest domain controller and things like that. We'll go over how inside the package is this AD check tool. You want to verify the machine, the Mac is ready to join AD by using the tool. You need to have local admin credentials on the Mac. What Centrify is doing is adding the ability for AD accounts to log on. We're not removing the abilities for local accounts. That sticks around. You're going to want to do those manually, either in the very beginning or as you go along. But you need to have at least one local admin account on the Mac to install the agent initially. Just like any other object you're going to create inside of AD for the machine, you got to have rights to do that. So when we join this machine to Active Directory, is the person doing the join, do they have AD rights to create that new computer object? Does that Mac admin have it, or you got to discuss and think about who's the person doing the join, or do you need someone in AD from the AD team to pre-create that object? Again, different options you do for any kind of computer you're joining inside of Active Directory, and the Centrify Mac's no different. And then we're going to install the agent and join to a Centrify zone. Our zone is called the Mac. Couple different options for installing it. For one at a time, it's easier just to push the software out there and run it one at a time. When you're doing deployments on a large scale, there are some other options. There is a Centrify deployment manager. However, it uses SSH credentials to push out packages. Most of the time, people don't have SSH servers running on Macs, so it's something better to be used for Unix machines and things like that that have SSH on it. Also, you could use Casper and any kind of distribution tools. The standard Centrify agent is a standard DMG. So any tools that you use for distribution will work. Again, for an eval, probably just as easy to use to push it out manually one at a time and then double click on the DMG package as we're going to do in this video. So we're going to demo using the package, and then we'll show you how to verify the agent and then log in with a test user. You also want to talk about smart card login discussion about what are all the different components you need. I don't have a smart card inside my virtual machines running on my machine here, but I can talk about the requirements that you need. Basically, you need to have the certs, like anything else when you're doing smart cards. You got to have the certs pushed down to that Mac. If you join this Mac to a domain where you set those certs inside of the domain level, then this agent should grab it right from the very beginning. If not, you're going to have to push it out manually. So that's how you get the certificates down there. And then also on the actual Centrify agent, you have to enable smart card login. You can do it manually. There's a couple different ways, and you can also do it via group policy. And we'll be talking about that as well. So let me go into my virtual machines. This is my back end. This is my Centrify's Direct Manage Access Manager. Again, I'm assuming you've already watched the other video and have already set up the back end. In that first video, my global was called just that, global. Here it's global 2. I had to rename it for other reasons, but it's the exact same thing. I have one global zone, and I have 3 children's zone, a Linux, a Mac, and a Windows. And for this particular video, we'll be installing a Mac agent, and I shouldn't have anything here. It's all empty. It's brand new, but I do have some information up at the top. So I've already set up my Diana Worth, and because I set that up at the global level, I don't need to set any kind of overrides here at the Mac level. But if I go into right-click on the Mac and do Show Effect of Unix User Rights, remember we consider a Mac to be a Unix machine, I'm all good to go. Just like we talked about in the other video, you want to have your test users all ready to go before you install your first agents. And in the Mac zone, I have Diana Worth, and she's all good to go. She has the Unix logon. Again, we consider the Mac machines to be Unix machines, and she can do a regular logon. So I'm all good to go. I'm ready to install my first Mac agent and join it to the Mac zone. If you only have one zone called Mac, inside the Centrify join process, you can just type the name Mac when it says what's the name of the zone. However, I have a couple different ones for different scenarios and different environments, but I can actually do the full path. So we'll be typing in this full path to get down to the name of the zone. So you might want to make a note of that. So now let's look at my my Mac here. So again, this is an El Capitan 10.11. If I go in here, I already have the package ready to install. I'm going to double click on it. It's going to come up. It's a standard DMG. Again, we could have pushed this out a couple different ways. I'm just pushed it out manually. I'm ready to go. Here's the AD check tool, something you might want to run ahead of time before you're ready to join to AD in case there's a problem, and maybe the problem takes a change control to fix if you have some kind of ports blocked by firewalls or something like that. So I go ahead and click on the AD check. It asks for a domain name. My domain is called Centrify.vms. Hit enter. Now it basically goes through all these checks and see if I'm ready to join. Is this machine ready to join AD? Can it verify the host name? Is it in DNS? Can I find the right ports that we need to do for the global catalog and such? I have one note about SSH on this machine, which is fine. I don't need it. As long as I don't have any errors, and I'm good to go. So now all I do is double click on the package and I'm ready to go. So this is my local ID on this Mac machine that has right to install software. So I haven't modified any of the user items for adding Active Directory and telling this machine to authenticate to AD. I've just installed the package. When we do the join assistant, the AD join process, that's when we modify and make changes to the login so you can log in with your AD credentials. So if I were to stop now, the Centrify package will be installed, but it hasn't been joined. A lot of times you can do this for some kind of golden image to get it ready for mass deployment. So again, I haven't made any changes yet. I've just installed the package. But I'm going to go ahead and launch the Join Assistant and join this machine to AD. So here it says, welcome to the Join Assistant. We require an AD with the username and password during the process. So in my environment, the person doing the install here, Diana Worth, has the privileges in Active Directory to create a computer object. So I'm going to use those credentials. So I'm going to make changes to the local machine. This is the local ID and password. And then for my join, what is my domain that I'm joining? I can't type here. Centrify.vms, Diana Worth, and type in the password. So I do not want to do AutoZone. We want to do zone mode. We set up all of our backend to have zone mode. So inside of here is the zone mode I'm going to do. And again, for my zone, I want to join this Mac zone. If I've never have anything else inside of Active Directory called Mac, I could just type in Mac. But I do have some other child zones called Mac. So I got to type in the full path. All I got to do is typing this with the slash notation. So it's Centrify VMS, Centrify SE, Zones, Global 2, and Mac. So that's where I'm going to type in the full path, basically. The name of the computer should be correct. I'm going to go ahead and keep that. We are not going to roll the cloud service. There is an ability to manage this computer like you manage iOS devices for iPhones and iPads and things like that. Apple actually has that option, so we've used that as well. So a machine can be joined to AD and joined via the cloud. In this video, we're just going to talk about joining to AD. And then what is the container? By default, it might go into computers. If I don't put anything here, I might not have permissions on computers. So I want this to go to a specific container that I have permission to create the object. So mine is under the Centrify VMS. I have a Mac Workstations OU. That's where I want to install mine. I'm going to the right zone, make sure I typed everything right. So I should be good to go, and then I hit join. It shouldn't take too long. It'll go through here, and it's going to do the join, and then tell me that everything's successful, hopefully. So I've successfully joined. There you go. All good. Hit done. I can close this. Done with all this. So one thing I can look at here is we have a lot of LDAP-like commands to do queries. One of the basic stuff you want to do is AD info. The status of this agent, Active Directory info. Here's my name, what domain I'm joined to. I'm joined as, again, name. What is my closest domain controller? I only have one in my little world here, but there could be a couple different domain controllers. This uses sites and services to find the closest one. Where's my zone? Most important part here is that I am connected, so I know everything's working good. Another one I can type is when I did the oversight on the back end, when I right-clicked and show effective users, Diana Worth could log in. If I do the same thing here, it's AD query user, and it shows all the users that can log in. Diana Worth should be able to log in. So what I can do here, and let's just do the, let's allow fast login. So now let me log in as Diana Worth. I should be able to log in as Diana Worth with my Active Directory password. And Centrify will create the home directory upon first login. There wasn't a Diana Worth on this machine, so as soon as it's doing the login, it's going to create the home directory. This agent is already joined to Active Directory. It already has the machine policies. If I've set any group policies for Centrify, it's already downloaded those. Any group policies that you set for the OU for all of the domain, it's downloaded those too, but it probably ignored 99% of them because they're Windows specific. So we don't care about those, but it did. If I had set any kind of the Mac ones from Centrify, it would have gotten them. So there you go. I'm good to go. Everything's set up. Some of the things I want to show you, I can log back out. So everything's good to go. Now what we want to do is, if I want to enable Smart Card, there's a couple different things I can do. Now that I've joined, if you go in the top, then where you would see in the Centrify top left corner of the apple here, go into Preferences, and there should be a Centrify icon now. Click on that, and then there's a Smart Card Assistant. So AD check we've already gone over. We've done the join. Some things here if you want someone to change their password. If I want to uninstall, I got some other options across the top. I can click on that if I want to make any changes. So now, first thing you want to do is log in. If you're going to do Smart Card, first thing, log in with your AD credentials without the Smart Card, if that's possible. If you haven't made Smart Card mandatory yet, if you can log in with your ID and password, that way you know everything's set up correctly and it's not a Smart Card issue or a certificate issue or something like that. But I go ahead and I'm going to hit Smart Card Assistant. Smart Card is disabled. There's another tool from the command line, same thing. It's SC tool, and then I can do S for status. Oh, I can't type. S for status, so it's disabled. So I can either do an SC tool minus E for enabling it, or I can do inside the GUI. Same kind of thing here, is I can unlock it and then enable Smart Card. So those are two ways of doing Smart Card manually. So now I can log back out and log in again because Smart Card is enabled. It's not mandatory, it's just enabled. So a third way I could have done this is with group policy. For an eval process, maybe you're not changing group policies just to test one or two machines, but it is possible. So let me go back into my back end here. If I go into, I have a group policies here. So when you first installed Centrify on the Windows machine, one of the things it said is, do you want to install group policy extensions? If you said yes, you would have had these little red squigglies, and then hopefully you already went in here, see add remove templates. If you clicked on add, we'd find all these templates, the Unix, Windows, and Macs, load them up. So now I have someone specific to Macs. And inside of here for the computer policies, if I go down to Mac settings and then go to security, you notice it's enable smart card. So if I would have had this set to enabled and hit apply, then as soon as I install the Windows agent, that smart card tool would have been enabled from the get-go. We wouldn't have to do it manually. We would have done it from the policies. So I'm enabling, but I am not requiring. So that is not required. If you want to require it, you can do it here. Now again, I would make sure everything's tested and everything's working fine before you require it, but it is a good thing if you want to start setting up policies for HSPD 12 that says we want smart card for everything. What you do is you do smart card required. So this is either logging on directly with a smart card, or if you have SSH running on this Mac machine, you can SSH with a Kerberos ticket as well. Now one thing we have here inside the group policy, which is pretty cool, is an exception group. So if you absolutely require a smart card, well, what if someone forgot their smart card and they came into work that day? Are you sending them home, or are you letting them work for the day at least? So we do have an exception group. If you put someone inside this group policy, you can make a certain exception group. So maybe you have a PIV exception group or something like that. So if you're in this AD group called PIV exception, then you can log on without using your PIV card. So maybe your policy is if someone comes in today and they forgot their PIV card or their CAT card, they can call up the help desk or security and they get put into this temporary group for 24 hours or 12 hours, whatever it is. And now, because this policy was already set, they can at least log on without their smart card as long as they're in that AD group. And after so many hours, the security team takes them out of AD. The other thing you need to make sure works, so now we know smart card is working, is set up to work. You want to make sure you got your certificates. Again, these are this is Microsoft's group policy editor, and I've loaded Centrify specific Mac templates. But the ones for certificates, that is a Windows policy. So inside of Microsoft group policy, if you've applied your policy to set out certs for the entire domain at the domain level, our Centrify Mac agent will pick that up and you're all good to go. If somehow inside of Active Directory, say I put my Macs under here, but computers is where you put all your Windows machine, and that's where you applied your certs. If you applied your certs there for your Windows machines and you didn't apply your policies here, then our Mac machines are not going to get those certs. Most of my clients are applying the policies to push out their certs at the domain level, and it doesn't matter where you install the Mac to. He's going to get it. So if I look under here, I should have this Mac El Capitan. So because if I set my policy at the domain level, this Mac machine would have got its certs and is good to go. A big thing with the smart card, obviously, is you got to have those certs. So if you're not going to set up in group policy and you haven't done it at the domain level, then you're going to have to push them onto those that Mac machine manually. So what you want to do is you can log in. Again, if you're possible, log in with the AD account without your smart card, and then you can go in and look at your keychain. Stick in your smart card now, and your smart card will show up on the left side, and then make sure all your certs and things like that are green, that you have all the right root certificates. That's the biggest thing whenever I have clients with problems with smart cards is they didn't get the certs down to the machine because it wasn't set at the policy level or something was wrong as far as permissions and then trusting of the root certs. So that's pretty much it. We got the Mac agent installed. We logged in with our AD credentials and showed you how to set the smart card whenever you're ready. One more thing I want to show you is there is a nice troubleshooting tool. If you go under Library, under Application Support, under Centrify, there's a Mac diagnostic tool. It's a pretty cool tool. Maybe make a shortcut and put it on your desktop. But here's a nice little tool here. This AD info is just like when we were on the command line and we typed AD info. You can look at your current group policy. I'm logged in as a local person, so there's no user policy, but if I look at the machine, I can actually see all my machine policies here. I can look at some information about my local user or other users. If I want to do debugs, if I'm having a problem and I want to send off debugs for support, there's some information here about the support portal, but also here I can actually turn on debug. So maybe I want to clear it or enable debug with this button right here. I can open this up. I can flush the AD cache. If I need to do anything with Centrify support, they might be telling me to do some of this stuff, and here's an option we can do it. This little flush AD cache is flushing the cache of the local agent every X number of minutes. By default, I think it's 20. It'll find its closest domain controller and download all of its policies. If you want to flush it out and do it right away, you can do it from there. The equivalent command from local is AD flush. So again, only by root. That's why I had to do it before. If I have a sudo set up, same thing. So AD flush, or you can do it inside this tool. Again, where I found this tool, library, application support, Centrify, diagnostic tool. Could come in handy. Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much.